Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of the crawlerification of the little tan man, turning a TRX-4 Sport from ready to explore as it comes out of the box into rock crawler. I'm less interested in the trail component. Most any rock crawler can trail until your underdrive overdrive gets really ridiculous. We'll touch on that at some point. So here is our little tan man. He's already where hath his wheels and tires gone? Well, one is right here. We have to do pre-prep. Otherwise, filming this would take like 5 hours. The whole process takes 5 hours, but I would prefer to film it all in one go. This is a Canyon trail. It is glued to this 5-spoke TRX-4 Sport wheel. We are going to remove that. We're going to remove that. I will show you how to do that in a moment. Then we're going to put an insert in it. The insert is going to look like, pardon me, I dropped it on the floor. It looks like this. It is silicone, and we're going to make it work. There are options. You could go out and buy a 3D printer or find somebody to 3D print. You can get yourself some inserts 3D printed. These are for Canyon trails. That's not why we're here. We're here to do this. We're here to crawlerify inexpensively. We're doing these. We could have done these. These are also an option. Tim Tins. Tim Tins as they come out of the package. We'll discuss this more when we're fiddling. Or a Canyon Custom. Canyon Custom Soft, right behind the Canyon Custom Soft on the rack, Canyon Custom Medium. These are all inexpensive options. You're looking at about $16 for a set of 4 of these. And then if you want to buy fridge mat and carpet tape, it's going to set you back about 20 bucks. You can help justify that because most of the fridge mat, which is what this stuff is, you can just put it in your fridge and keep your fruits and vegetables good for longer. You only need about, they usually come in 4 packs, and you need about 1 sheet to do a double layer like that. But for this project, we're going to begin with this. The silicone insert is not the end-all, neither the end-all nor the be-all. What they are is fairly universal, and because they are so inexpensive, these were $13.90, and they were also 10% off. So even after tax, they were under $14 for a full set. That's, in my estimation, that is impossible to beat. So we are willing to deal with some of the caveats of the silicone, which we will get into, and we are going to embrace perhaps the primary caveat of the silicone. But we'll get to that in a moment. Before we do that, we have to get this tire off of this rim. And to do that, you're going to need a couple of things. I'm doing this indoors because I have to record it for the purposes of a video. For anyone else, I would genuinely recommend do this outside. I don't just mean a well-ventilated area. Here's our well-ventilated area. I mean an extremely well-ventilated area. What we are going to do is we're going to take this wheel tire combo and we are going to use an application of heat. Do we remember this guy? We're going to use that guy and the magic sauce, BSI Uncure Cyanoacrylate Remover. And the thing that really helps. So this is a $0 operation if you don't count the tools and materials. Like at most, you'll have to buy a bottle of Uncure. These do make the job a lot easier because we're going to get that tire really hot, and we're basically going to turn super glue into smoke. That's why I would recommend doing this outside. We're going to take our bottle of Uncure here. We're going to put a blip right here on the bead. Just let it walk around. That is going to give us a better indicator. I'll set that there. I'm going to try not to bump into the tripod as it's right in front of my face. That is going to give us a better indicator of when the glue is heated sufficiently to when it has lost its bond. Will there be cuts here? Because Traxxas employs only the most powerful glue wizards in all of the realms. So removing a typical Canyon trail from this tire in this method, and I've tried pretty much all the methods, from bucket of acetone, putting tires in the oven, and on and on and on and on and on. Some of them work equally well. I will just readily admit that I lack the patience to wait for them. It takes, I would say on average 5 to 7 minutes to remove each tire. So call it between 20 and 30 minutes to remove a full set. Do you see that bubble along the edge? That is what we are looking for. But we don't do anything other than continue to apply heat until we can see that bubble edge move all the way around. I want to see bubble edge all the way at the bead. I have one very hot finger right now. Hot finger. So we've gotten to there. The camera might pick up the smoke coming off. That is not smoke. That is super glue fumes. We're fuming ourselves in here. I justify this by acknowledging that we don't do this a lot. I haven't baked a set of tires off since I did the last video about baking tires off, and that was quite a bit long time ago. As soon as you see a point of failure on the rim, give it a squirt the uncure into that slot, because they do glue all the way along the inner bead. So the glue will move down that inner bead mixed with the remover, and it basically just turns into a slurry that is both not glue and actively trying to become really not glue. Any of the glue left behind, once the uncure flashes away, that glue will basically harden back into super glue again. Okay, I'm getting a good bit of smoke off that. We might have that side popped. Okay, so I don't want to pull it all the way. I don't want to rip the tire. So I'm going to squirt it in that bead, let it run down, and now it should just, like, you hear it give. We're immediately going to flip to the other side. The second side is much easier because it's impossible to not heat the tire all the way through. This is honestly going swimmingly because I said it's 5 to 7 minutes to get this thing off. We might have this thing off in sub 4 minutes. We will start to see bubbles from the glue debonding within 30 seconds on this side. Maybe a third the time, perhaps a quarter of the time that it takes to do the other side. I'm already seeing bubble. The only thing that is not saved by performing this operation is the rim. Because of the concave shape of the inside of the wheel, you pretty much melt the inside of the spokes because the heat pools up in there and dances around. I'm starting to see some shine, but no bubble, so we are past 30 seconds. It's going to be about a minute to get this side. And by this time, the heat will have soaked into your glove quite substantially. If you make an attempt to do this without employing welding gloves, it is going to extend the amount of time that the procedure takes because you can't hold on to it. Uncure falls down in there. Now, very important, make sure you tap the beads back down so that the bead sits the way it would in a rim. Now this is extremely hot, 300 and some degrees hot. We're going to do this. We're going to take the fan and we're just going to put that right there like that. There it is. And that fan is going to do a fantastical job both of helping us breathe in less super glue fumes in our eyes and lungs, which is probably, not super good for us. And the tire is not going to be all deformed because keeping that bead shaped is important. The foam, remember I had questions about the foam? The foam, well and truly does appear to be the same foam that it always was, but it seems more like, I haven't hit it with a heat gun to see if it squares off. It looks like it's got all like contoured edges. I don't know. The foam in these felt better than the foams that I remember. Let's see if we get any crackle. Yeah. You just kind of give it a couple pulls and it will break any spots where there was still too much glue settled. We did pretty good. We did pretty strongly okay. There's a bit of the glue residue on there. It's fine. It's definitely not torn. It definitely hasn't ruined the tire in every way. There is only one set of tires in the entire Canyon fleet of Canyon Trails that I purchased at $24 a pair. If you don't want to buy a heat gun, if you don't want to go through all of this issue and hassle, they are $24 a pair from a main anywhere. You can buy Canyon Trails in S1 compound for $24 a pair. But if you're going to spend that kind of money, you know, you're that close to the J Concepts, Louise, Proline, Ot6, whatever. You're pretty close to the price point of that. So we do this because we get a great reward for very small expenditure. I already have the stuff. It's just a matter of getting the tire off of the rim. If you don't have one of these, I don't know. You need one of these. These tires, as they come from the factory, are ventilated through the rim. The rim has air holes in it. So now we need air holes in the tire. You're going to want to put 2 holes of your choice of size. I opt for 4 millimeter. I put them at the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock positions. That is directly across from one another. And you might say, well, why do you want your holes right there? Well, we're not going to be using open cell foam, not anymore, and not at any time in the future. So if water gets inside of this, and you have your holes anywhere other than here, the water can't get out. And trust me, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you are. If you drive adjacent to water, water will get inside. And you want it to be able to get out. So then we take this, so we've baked it off, and now, so we had a heat gun and uncure, and now we need to introduce it to another tool, which I believe this is a Hako. It's a CH170. Anything that I use, there will be a link in the description. If I forget to put a link in the description, let me know. These are about $6. I tend to buy them 2 at a time because I will try. They are what they call flush cut pliers, and I use them for stuff that's like a little too heavy duty for what they are, and you'll just snap a jaw off. So I have 2 more pairs in the building because at some point I will try to cut through something a little too severe for this and I will break it. That is not going to be the case on a Canyon Trail because we are going to cut a Canyon Trail. And the way we're going to do it is, do you see how there's this shaped lug? It's like a little hand cupping a little shape like that, right? The little shape that is being cupped has a little line on it right there. See the little line? We're going to go straight down. My finger is right behind it on the inside, so I can feel the tension that I'm applying. I'm going to cut it just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to cut every single one of them. And then after I've cut, like, see, I already lost the one that I cut. There it is. After you've cut every single one of them, you're going to come back, you're going to pinch it, just thusly. Take your flush cutter and cut that off. So now we don't have that lug right there. This is step 1 in absolutely and utterly transforming a Canyon Trail. And once you get into the groove of it, and you've cut, 20 sets of them, you can go through them pretty fast. And you just pinch, cut, cut. And then after you're done, your workbench, shop table, computer desk, wherever you are, you will have a little pile of forbidden chocolate chips. You can make a nice big pile of them. And after you have gone all the way around, see how nice that looks? After you have gone around and cut all those out, and you do it on both sides, so you cut that small lug out on both sides, you're going to go to the shoulder, and you'll notice it goes long, short, long, short, long, short. Right where the long is, you're going to put the plier right there, and you're just going to snip it. And it's going to make this shape right here. Now, you can choose, depending on how I'm feeling that day, depending on what's going on, you can just leave it like that because you've softened the shoulder. Or alternately, again, pinch it flat against the carcass, cut it off. So now you have that little overhanging hook. And that hook does work. That hook does some real work. It is also going to make the tire behave softer than it is. So rather than we do a time lapse where I go, pretend that I did that, and we just reach up onto the rack and we grab another one that looks like this. Oh, hey, look at that. And it's the exact same thing, only we've already cut all the lugs off. I am going to cut all the lugs off of this, but for the purposes of illustration, identical tires, identical situation, identical everything. It's just this one has been cut. And did I even do the shoulder? This one, I just cut them. I didn't take these off. For this guy, because I think throughout his life cycle, he's going to get a little bit lighter, but I think we're still going to be putting down enough PSI on him that I think we can get away with cutting the shoulder lug out. So that brings us to these. These are AMK 108 by 42 millimeter inserts. This is how they come. They come in a package of 4 for about $14. And you take it, and like doing this, you can kind of feel it, that it's easier to press in on this. Like, look how much more of it deflects because we've taken out lugs. So it effectively makes the carcass behave as if it's a bit thinner. The Canyon Trail is a pretty thin carcass as it is. Take your insert, we're going to pop it in here, and I'm going to show you why we have to go through the next series of steps. Pop that guy in there. It is a perfect fit. The 108 by 42 is a perfect fit inside of a Canyon Trail. Now, I don't have a beadlock ring installed yet, so when I press, the interior of the tire is of all of it is deflecting. This is getting smaller. We don't want that because that's not really giving us an accurate depiction of how it's going to behave when it's on the vehicle. So we grab the beadlock ring from the cheap 105 clones that we've chosen for this operation. As I think I mentioned in another episode, we're calling a set of wheels $35. If you want to spend more, that's up to you. If you're lucky enough to spend less, like if you're shopping AliExpress or whatnot, great. But you go on Amazon right now, there's going to be scads of wheels, particularly ones that look in some flavor of the Method 105. Like, right? It's just going to be nice. Black, silver, tan. He's black, silver, tan. They're going to be great. And we're calling them about $35. I might have paid a little bit less, but that's what we're going to call them. So when we put the beadlock ring in there, now it's way over firm. This is far, far too firm for this. Because this guy is not that heavy. This is the firmness, legitimately, like you will get no static bag off of this. I wish that we had Feel-O-Vision and not the pastry, that you could feel how this is. It's so over firm. Luckily, do you remember when I said a couple minutes ago that they're about $14 a set and that they're made of silicone? You can cut them with pretty much anything. My weapon of choice is right here. These are Fiskars. You can tell by the filth of the handles that these have been used a lot, particularly when you have giant fingers, that this is literally as far as my fingers will fit into it. What we're going to do is we're going to take that insert and we're going to slide this across the top. And the silicone is so soft and the scissors are sharp enough, it's going to slide, and then when we get out the other side, we're just going to cut. And then we're going to do the same thing on the lower side of the spline. We're going to go out to there, and as soon as we see our tips come out, we're going to cut. And then that piece falls out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to skip tooth. So my recommendation is to cut one, count one. We don't cut that. We go to the next one. We slide it, snip it, slide it, snip it. Did you see it go out of shape? All right. I will exhibit again. And also, it really went out of shape, so it doesn't matter, but I like to trim those off. So we count it, and we go to the next one. This is how it is when you start with the top of the rib. Pops right out, cut it, go down to the bottom, and then see, it doesn't deform. Slides out real nice, cut it. You get a much cleaner result cutting the top rib first. This one has a chunk in it. That's the one I didn't do right. So then we skip it, we cut it, we start at the outside. We go all the way out, we cut it, we come down, cut it. It's not hard. If you have scissors that aren't as good or as sharp, these are Osdernay. From, like, if your scissors go like this, they're not very good. These are extremely cheap. These are probably $5 for these. You can get them at any craft store. I think they're for like thread cutting, like seamstress work. We can do the same thing with the long one. We count it, we skip it, we go to the next one. We slide it up, cut, go down to the bottom, slide it up, cut. It did every bit as well, honestly. But because of the length of the handle and how wobbly they are, it just doesn't feel as secure to me. How about these? I think these are Singers. These are even older to the point where they're all flobbly now. So we'll count it, cut it, and we got to remember to start at the top, slide it up. Anything will cut this silicone. If you've got a big old honking pair of scissors, those will probably work too, right up until they don't. And that is because we are going to construct, and I can't believe that I'm actually doing this while jabbering at the same time, because the chances of me missing a skip tooth and cutting side by each ribs is reasonably high. I keep trying to cut the bottom first, even though I know better. It's just instinctual. So we go across the top, we go across the bottom. So far we haven't messed it up. Count it, skip it, cut it, slide the bottom, slide the top, count it. Next one. I don't remember how many ribs there are. It's in the high 20s, something like that. So we skip it, slide it, cut it, slide it, cut it. And now we have the last one. That one's impossible to mess up right there. Slide it, cut it, come through, slide it, cut it. Now, you've got that cut out like that. Now the problem is they make these inserts with the veins perfectly radial. See how they all go down in a line? So now we have something particularly soft right here, but this is still incompressible, roughly incompressible. So what you can keep doing is you can keep cutting veins starting from the outside and moving in, and the silicone is still going to maintain that rigidity laterally, so it's going to improve side hill. So what I like to do is, now it gets much easier because we didn't mess up when cutting the outer ring. So I'm going to go to where there is the rib we didn't cut. We're going to go directly below that. We're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to slide it. When it comes out, we're going to cut. We're going to go down, we're going to slide it. And when it comes out, we're going to cut. And it's going to pull out that little sliver, which is going to remove that. So now you have this orientation. And see how that moves? It's improved now. Did I get that tight enough? You can also, depending on what handed you are and the way that you apply pressure, you can opt to, you can hold the scissors this way, or you can hold the, and it does, like, these are right-handed scissors. But I find that I'm always cutting logo up. I don't know, it says Fiskars. I don't know if that is superstition. We're going to slide, cut. We're going to slide, cut. Piece falls out. And we're just going to do that same thing all the way around. And then it's going to give us an insert that looks like, I had test fitted. An insert that looks like this. So there we go. That one is complete. And now, if we install that, I mean, I can tell from right here, it's way easier to fold up into a little ball. We pop that in there. And remember, we don't really know what the insert feels like until a beadlock ring goes in it, because otherwise we're just compressing the whole apparatus. We get that thing in the middle. These are Canyon Trails. These are going to mount like an absolute dream, and not bad. Not bad. A little bit of rebound, and that is something that you're going to find with the silicone. They will. I mean, oh, let me get a Strigger hit. They will rebound back. That is one of the drawbacks, right? I said that there would be caveats. One of the caveats is the amount of rebound that you get out of basically rubber. 3D printed is not going to rebound like that. Not with the same energy. It has that bounce. This weighs over double what this weighs. So it just has a lot more energy return to it. I mean, why wouldn't it? It's kind of like a big silicone band. But there is a counter effect to that caveat, which is these typically weigh about 70 grams. This gentleman, which we removed from the tire originally, weighs about 15 grams. So we're adding 55 grams of unsprung weight per corner, but we're really not. We're actually adding more than that. Okay, here's the double cut one. So we're going to run the double cuts in the... We're doing an experiment because we're here together. We're going to run the double cut in the front and treat that as a soft. And then in the rear, we're going to run the single cut with just a one row cut without the second row of splines cut. They will start to do this. They will spiral into the tire. So hopefully it will be apparent when we're out on the rock that there's a discernible difference between when we first start and after we've been driving on them for 5, 6, 7 minutes. The insert and the tire will really start to get to know each other. At least that's the hope. So this one is double cut. So this is a front. And as I said, I think these will look pretty nice. And because these were on a glue-on, and because we made sure to reshape the bead and then set it on the fan, they kind of cool into that shape like we've cooled them in a mold. So now I slide these over. I grab the impact that I lost. We put some screws in it, and we have got ourselves a combo. And this particular combo should be reasonably heavy. The weight of all of the removed ribs is effectively negligible. It will remove a few grams of weight at most. So we can do a thing here where we put one combo. This is the passenger front tire. We can put one combo on the scale and then just multiply that figure by 4, and it will tell us how much weight. It'll tell us what we're working with. And it is not the super optimal weight. It's not perfect weight because it is rotating. But no one would argue that that doesn't look better than what came off. So we will pop this on a scale. Let's pop this on a scale really quick, and we will see what we have. It's in pounds. We'll start with ounces. It's 8.5 ounces, which is 244 grams. So 488, 976. I know I have mentioned in the past to anyone who's been here before that what we enjoy, what we favor, if given the opportunity, is the venerable and oft sought after kilo of wheelos. And we are very close to a kilo of wheelos because all of that weight that we have added back on is unsprung. So it will help counteract the weight on top of the vehicle. It's just a personal thing. I like to put them on one at a time so I don't accidentally make a tire for the other side. And there you go. Oh, these are a hair wider than the offset that we had before. But this is pretty typical of the offset that you're going to see from an Amazon beadlock. And voila! And there you have it. And we even paid attention long enough to mount all 4 tires up in the correct direction. So, springing should not be affected. Damping should not be affected. I don't believe we've added enough weight to where now the shocks, the damping force is going to be fighting the good old GTS, the good old stiction being an emulsion shock. There we go. I did indeed. I grabbed one before I threw it away. Pressed it into the combo with the tire and the stock insert. It is 112 grams, 224, 448. So we went from 448 to 976. So we've more than doubled. So in the neighborhood, is that 500 grams? 528 grams That's not a small amount. And we've put that weight in the right place. So, to recap before we rock it out, that was a good one, right? That happened right away. Like as soon as we started, we got that big one on there. So we started. For episode 1, we spent $329. Well, I mean, I had rewards points, but we're not talking about rewards points. I spent $329 to buy a TRX-4 Sport RTR. In episode 2, we spent $13. $5 for the front battery mount, $3 for a spur gear, and $4.50. We spent $13.50. And we spent $4.50 for a pinion gear. In episode 3, this episode so far right here, this will be the extent of modification for this episode. I already have what's going in the next one. It's in the chamber. It is ready to go. We spent, let's just round up and call it $50. A set of silicone inserts and a set of alloy bead locks will set you back about $50. And I really debated over that, you know? I mean, I debated over how do we classify that cost? Because basically, with very few exceptions, and my brain is racing trying to think of some exceptions to prove the rule, when don't you change the wheels? When don't you go to an alloy beadlock? It doesn't happen often. So, yeah, we spent $35 on a set of wheels. You could easily spend $200 on a set of wheels. These are Proline crawlers in Predator on Vanquish wheels with Crawler Innovations inserts. This costs more than all of that put together, all 4 of those put together. So there's vanity. You can spend quite literally as much as you want. What are they, Spec RC? $350 sets of wheels, they're a thing. It's not why we're here. So $329 plus, well, let's round it to 14. Let's round it to 14. We'll give you an allotment. We'll give you a $5 pinion allotment. 5. Yeah, we'll call it $14. So $329 and 14, $343, and we're going to call today 50. We're at $393. We're still sub $400. And we do as we do. We take it out, we hit obstacles, and we do that continually evolving cost-benefit analysis. Are we going to get our money's worth out of our $50? I'm going to go ahead and be absolutely human and be as hubristic as possible and say, we absolutely did. I'm seeing a little bit of static bag out of the front. Not much out of the back, but I think they're going to be all right. Will they be as good as a set of 3D printed inserts that are tailored for a canyon trail and a TRX-4 Sport? Well, no. But that option will also not cost you $13. And I mean, even if you have a 3D printer whirling away printing your own inserts, it ain't going to cost you $13. It's not going to be as cheap as these. The cost benefit gets really murky in that territory. So we go where we go. We go back to the rocks, and you know what I'm thinking already. Look how far that bumper sticks out past the front of this truck. It's ridiculous. We may address that sometime real soon. So, we go to the rocks. We move in incremental steps. This was shoes. Shoes and socks, I suppose. Then what are the rims in this analogy? Anyway, we're going to test what we did today, and we're going to see. Not did it make it better. It's going to have made it better. Was it worth it? I can definitely deliver you a report from the drive back, which is an increase in rotating mass of 500 plus grams is definitely noticeable. No disrespect to the Titan whatsoever. But the tip into the throttle, we now have a really low speed because that motor is like, I don't remember pushing this much weight before. Oh, that weight though. Okay. I don't know how well it was exhibited, but there was a perfect display right there of the double-edged sword cutting both ways on that weight. We had the front end shuttle. We had a good amount of slide beyond what we would like. Okay, we've definitely got some no body bonk, no nothing. We're swinging some heavy pendulums now. So when we came up here, came across this soft side, we turn in, and then when I cut back to get that tire to come up the lip, see how it will push? It's pushing, but the weight, it can't lift the weight. So driver front can't get off the ground because there's just too much weight. It's kind of overwhelming everything. Turning circle will generally be impacted a little. Oh man, there is a scenario where the silicone is just like a silken bag of butter. Oh, there's so much more pull. You cut a canyon trail, you've done yourself a favor. Also, it has really smoothed out the throttle response. There's a what you would call a fairly heavy trigger on the TQI. On the TQ. It doesn't have the little slot for the thing on the back. That's a TQI. That's a TQI. So it's got a little bit heavier of a trigger than what I'm typically used to, right? Your finger kind of develops this the really fine sense of muscle memory when it comes to the trigger. So this trigger has more of a pull than what I'm used to, but throwing 500 grams of unsprung rotating mass at it has made it to where I'm holding the trigger at more of a fixed position, a little deeper in the pull than what I would be on, say, a Radial Link or a Sanwa or something like that. Oh, right through there. It's really smooth. He's super smooth now because we've got that weight down low. This is where we would do a cruise control pass, and then we remember that the TQ does front to back and side to side, and that's all it does. You'll hear these This feels super brushed. When you get bound up, you're just bound up. You can let off throttle, let yourself roll back a little bit, reposition. I thought for sure, I had this sneaking suspicion that the 2075 was going to cry foul when we introduced this much more weight for it to handle. Let's see if, okay, that's not a great approach. It's kind of what I want though. We're way up. But we're gonna roll the wheels every time. If we don't roll the wheels every time, we're gonna roll the wheels pretty much every time. Straight up bean shot. Little bit of silicone hop. Get over. There's that shuttle. And roll it out. It's a little spicy. We're still well inside that inserts haven't settled phase. Could we go with the double cuts? Could we go soft all around? Yeah. I don't know. I think it's doing some really nice stuff with the weight transfer and both the power and the steering handling the increased weight. Cut back. Little bouncy, a little too bouncy there. Okay, how much claw back do we have? Very close. All right. We have to acclimate to the rotating mass. Stability and the way the power is delivered has really changed. I feel a little more shuttly, which is not surprising. As I said, yeah, get through. Nope, too much. We've made it a little bit of a tightrope walker on this configuration. Ooh. To a point where I'm contemplating next round, we maybe try just an completely unmodified Tim Tin $16.99 dual stage. I'm enjoying the increase in unsprung in that ratio. I feel like the ratio has improved. But again, a lot of vehicles don't respond to silicone as well because it is a lot of rotating mass. And we're asking the Titan to do a lot. When we come through like this, easy, skates up. When we get into spots where we're working on that positionability, I don't know if it's the way that the silicone is filling the tire. I don't know if it's something about the silicone tire relationship it ain't quite hitting. It's better overall, but we've right there. That's what's getting me. I get into a spot, we get the initial, we get the drive in, we get right here. Now I'm trying to reposition to push driver front to the left. And I get right here. We just get a little mired, right there, and it pushes out. So, and then there, number one problem, above and beyond the silicone, number one problem for me is front and rear bumpers. Approach right there, that's all rear bumper. Could we maybe shoot that line without the rear bumper? Probably maybe. Because we get it clear. Yeah. This is not an outright condemnation of the silicone insert. I think in a lot of circumstances, particularly when we're in a phase like this, when we're in a setup stage, this insert is fine. It's going to agree well enough with the tire to show me what need be done and what not need be done. Come on. Oh, this is we're taking a tumble. It's just there's too much for the power plant that we have, for the system that we're running. We have a takeaway today. The silicones are too much weight on a TRX-4, a TRX-4 Sport that is essentially box stock. So while I would never admit to this, I mean, if someone were to suggest that we did too much too fast, an improvement may have been heat the tires off, and cut them so that we can mount them on a set of wheels, but then just put the stock foams back in. Yeah, maybe. I wanted to go all in. I think stock foam would be better than this. Maybe. The cut tire has made a huge difference. The wheels are wheels. We need to put it on the side hill. I want to see if this thing does the heavy pendulum thing where everything is fine and then it falls away, or if we can see an improvement. I'm enjoying the stability, the willingness to stay rubber side down now, but this is a crossroads. We have to make a decision, and I know what the two decisions are. I don't want to just throw more power at it. I'm holding a Traxxas TQ in my hand. The vehicle's got an XL5 HV and a Titan 21 turn and a 2075X. I don't have a problem with the electronics that are in there. Yes, we're going to have to work around them a little bit. If there was a Fusion in here, just a $79 SE, we would not be having the issues with the rotating mass. It would be able to power it through. But I also don't want to just tell people, oh, just throw more money at it. Most, if not all, problems in the toy car sphere can be solved by just throwing money at them. That's actively what we're trying not to do. We just spent a bunch of time baking stock tires off the wheels and cutting them. Yeah, it's too much. It is this. I take this opportunity right now to yell the thing that I yell all the time, which is sliders. Are we hooked on that slider? 100%. If we had no slider, would we have rolled out? Probably. Will the slider guarantee some more longevity of the body? Yes. Do I still want to take them off? Also yes. Do I also maybe want to leave them on, but cut off the running board part of them? Kinda. See what a rollback looks like. Should be ridiculous. Actually, not that bad. Titan doing okay. I thought we were just going to shoot backwards. It has another pound to deal with. So we've increased the weight of the vehicle a pound. Just over a pound. But like we get into here, you've got to use a lot of throttle control to overcome that weight. Because that front tire got in the air, would not come down because it was trying to over-transfer. Yeah, we've gone too far. This is fine. We went too far too fast in our own hubris, and it's not the first time, nor will it be the last. But we haven't changed anything fundamental about the vehicle. It takes 20 minutes to remove all the tires, swap inserts, put the tires back on. It's not a problem. This is correctable. And if you bought silicones prior to this moment, take heart. I don't think you would have. It's all in the same video, right? Anyway, I don't know. YouTube time is not like regular time. What's happening right now for me in this moment, I don't have an accurate prediction of when it will be happening for you. There's a real chaotic time dilation there. So I wouldn't do silicones on the XL5 and Titan. It's too much weight. Do I want low weight? So in the checkbox for brass, there's a yes in the yes checkbox for brass. Not a lot. We don't need a lot. We don't need huge weights in the front. It doesn't exhibit a tendency to really throw the front end in the sky like that. If we get in really deep, it will overwhelm. But like we come right through there, I'm one hand in that. That was no steering. Get to the right spot and it will go because that weight is keeping it down. I don't think we need to re-emphasize that rotating mass is not optimal. What rotating mass is cheap because we have to, again, wheel out the horse so that we may beat upon it again. $329 for the rig. $13 in necessities. $35 for wheels. Well, we're calling it wheels and inserts, $50. So did I round it up to 14? 64 and 329 is 393. We are under $400 for this level of capability, and it's pretty good. We are going to perform a function in the next installment that I was going to say will bring our spend down because we're going to remove the silicones and put the stock foams back in. But then, because then that would mean, and the other part of the episode is a $0 expenditure. It's body mod. Oh, that body's trapped out on the outside of the bumper again. It's body mod, and it's free. So you've seen the Tim Tins on the bench. We'll do both in the next one. We'll run the stock foam and see what we can do with a heavyweight wheel, which will add a little bit of weight. So instead of that, what were they, 244? Instead of 244 for the combo, we will be dropping to about 180, give or take. That might not be bad. That's 720. That is a 50%, 60% increase in weight. I think we just went too far. We went too far for an XL5 and a Titan. So the 2075 is the most This is why body mod is coming. We want to retain that DNA, but I also don't want front and rear bumpers hanging up on everything. Front bumper's going to go, oh, hey! It comes back around. It is a double-edged sword just swinging around, chopping everybody's fingers off. It's too much weight. It's too much rotating mass. But at the same time, how are we so stable and how do we have so much drive? Get through. Oh, yeah. I mean, It can be pretty great. So let's rescind back to where we were a moment ago, where I would say XL5 Titan not on the silicone, may be on the silicone. Like, if you're not looking for, if you're mixed duty using, if you're driving it through the creek and you're hitting some rocks down by the river, maybe silicone. Drive them in the lake all day. Punch more than 2 holes though. Do 4 holes. It'll make it easier to get the water out. There's your takeaway mod. Punch more holes in your tires. Get that axle off of there. There you go. I need to drive it a little bit more like I stole it. Oh, look at the speed of that servo under this way. Whee! The servo, the 2075X, will not get you out of trouble. But it also has kind of a lack of torque to the point where it can't really get you into trouble either. It's doing just fine. And as I think I've said on more than one occasion, the 2075X, the huge flashing, spinning red light about the 2075X is not that it performance-wise is awful. It's that they have this tendency to just, like, everything's fine, and then it just dies, just with no warning. Oh, and I'm dead now. That's how the 2075 goes. So, once again, Amazon, that's not a problem. Spoiler of future episodes, it's $30 to put a servo in there that will be beyond adequate for the application. We don't have to put $100, $200 servos and everything. Sometimes $30 absolutely does the job. And with this guy, I'm 99.9% sure that $30 is going to do the job. Right here, take that. This is the silicone, right there. Woo! This is the silicone, but that's also the silicone. Bump. I could adapt to this over time. I think I could. But that moment back at Daphne's where the tire hooks, but it can't pull that weight. The pendulum is pulling us down. I don't want it. So yeah, for sure, not ruling out the AMK $12.80 or whatever they, $139, $12.40 inserts. How do we, what's our expectation of performance? The cutting the tires was the biggest change that we made here, because they definitely have the grip, and I think it has exhibited that. What we're trying to do is overcome the too much weight that we added. The weight of the rim, also, if you had a rim that was a little bit heavier, not all rotating weight is the same. Oh. A silicone insert has weight, but the weight is out farther. A wheel, the weight is all within a 2-inch circle. So it doesn't see them the same. It's easier to spin a 2-inch circle of a certain weight than it is to spin a 5-inch circle of a certain weight. For the motor. I mean, once it starts rolling, it's easier for the 5-inch than for the 2-inch. But for the motor sees more load now. Can we? Can we? But, again, double-edged sword just swinging around. This thing will go to wheels, I would say 85 times out of 100. Let's get out here and test his theory. It's just wheels is where it goes. Like, we've increased the proportion of unsprung enough. I think I can flip it right here. It's on the side. There we go. If you want it upside down, you got to do it yourself. So here in closing, on a reasonably cool morning, there's that bumper. Should we address this? I feel like we should. On a reasonably cool morning, low, approaching the mid-60s in the Fahrenheits. The motor is just above skin temperature, so in the 80 to 85 degree range, which is we've been flogging on it a little bit. Yeah, so all of the stuff can handle. There are a lot of rigs out there which, for the purposes of brevity, shall in this installment remain nameless. But there are a lot of rigs that if you were to introduce this amount of weight, additional weight, to both the servo, the motor, and the speed control, they would be actively and demonstrably unhappy about it. It just has a performance profile that I'm not crazy about. That's my problem with the silicone. Somebody else might be like, oh no, this is great. I drive on moss-covered rocks deep in the forest, and it rolls a lot. And if it'll roll to its wheels but still provide grip, I'm more than willing to sacrifice that little bit of lateral movement. Great. And drive them in the river all day, as I said. So yeah, double-edged sword, but that's the way the silicone has always been. It definitely has its, no pun intended, ups and downs. So choose accordingly, or wait until the next one. Well, I mean, I would say wait until the next one, but if you have to think too long or too hard about ordering a $12.40 set of inserts, I don't know how to address that. So, I mean, compared to name brand stuff, a set of Tim Tins and a set of silicones costs less than buying one pair of aftermarket tires. Like Prolines would be $33 a pair, and it will cost you just under $30 to buy 2 sets of inserts and tinker. There's no reason to take Canyon Trails off your Sport. They work great. They can be made to work great. These are effectively brand new, so they have no feathering, no wear in on them, and they will absolutely do the thing, even when fighting against inserts that are perhaps not super optimized. I think we're still doing okay. So in the next one, we're going to make this thing more maneuverable, I guess is the overall, and we're going to do a double insert testaroo. And the beauty is, I have multiple sets of Canyon Trails, so we don't even have to hullabaloo it. I will mount up one set on identical wheels to this. These are silver and black. I have an identical set of wheels that are black and silver. The black and silver will be mounted with the Tim Tins. These wheels will be mounted with the stock inserts, and we will come out here and we'll do the thing and we'll see what's what. That is after we do the free mods that will make this thing more capable. I might also indeed even throw it on a scale next time so we get an idea of where the weight is progressing. And in that one, we will do the things, and I sincerely hope that you join us to see it all happen. I hope that people are enjoying this because I'm having a fantastic time in what, in my estimation, is starting from scratch. Starting with an RTR TRX-4 and seeing what we can do for the least amount of money. We are still below the RTR cost of an Ecto. Would I put it up against an Ecto? 1,000%. 1,000%. Because we're already more capable than an Ecto right now, just in terms of starting with the electronics, the tires. We're on alloy wheels. Like, this isn't bad. We're not doing bad. We're going to see what level of performance we can get to, sub $500, and then once we hit that point, it will forever stay a TRX-4 Sport. My goal is not to change that body, but we're going to see what we can really do. Like, when will it be to where people go, oh, you know? So, tune back in for that. I will see you next time. In between now and then, please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. I bid you a fond farewell from an early morning in the canyon. The sun is not even hitting the rocks. We get out here proper oily. I like it. It's good. AMK's solid. But sometimes it's just not exactly what you want. And that is the case here. That is not exactly what I wanted.